Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tells me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's comes at us from Dimmy. Hey, Bryan, going to take you on another Today is the Day ride. This time it's from their second album, released a year later after the debut. They sound a bit tighter on this one, though they are still audibly exploring their eerie, demented sound. Enjoy! Oh man, I always love that. The enjoy after eerie, demented, or anything along those lines. This is going to be the most abrasive metal you've ever heard. Enjoy! I know it's mostly given in good faith, just a nice request to have fun with what I'm listening to, especially since, it's not going to necessarily be my cup of tea. But it does kind of crack me up, the jump from disturbed and eerie. Enjoy. All right, so Today is the Day. That's what we're checking out. This is Sidewinder off of the Willpower album. Let's dive in. Ooh. Nope, still. Okay. Yeah, okay, so it's groups of 10. Lots of energy, even right off the bat. There's a stretching of time. Came in a half beat early. I still have a tough time anticipating their accent points. Yeah, eerie, creepy. I'd even say more than eerie on this. It's unsettling in a way that isn't just uncomfortable. I like that bass slide. Okay, so there are phrasing extensions too. Noise. Oh, no, let's just stop. Okay. Honestly, with how noisy and directionless that was getting, I'm cool with that. So I kind of enjoyed this. Not sure how much of this I would like, but it certainly grabbed me on multiple levels. The opening is kind of like almost a slightly post-hardcore take on a very early Deftones sound. That actually kind of worked for me. The mathy breakdown that came after that, yeah, not really. But then we had that eerie, creepy, unsettling section, and that was fine. I'm not too keen on the atmosphere of it, but generally the musicality was fine. I didn't have a problem with that. And we moved that into sort of a late 90s alternative rock sound, something that reminded me of a grittier, creepier puddle of mud. So I kind of grooved with that a little. And the ending of it, we kind of moved into like a noisy section, which I wasn't too keen on, but then we wrap it up with this melting, this decay of the song, which honestly it went on a little too long, but I think that the concept there is solid. A lot of really strong thematic imagery with how they finished the song. It is a track that I think is thematically connected, and I really enjoy that element of it. But even on a sonic level, I'd say about 50% of it really worked for me. And I'd love to hear an album that kind of focused on maybe the less abrasive components and focuses more on this gritty post-hardcore alternative rock combo thing going on that they do sometimes. But I also recognize that if they just focused on that more palatable side, it would not be today is the day, most likely. So it's one of those situations where would I have liked it more? Yeah. Do I wish they had done that? No. As usual, I think artists should stay true to themselves, and this is who they were at the time. That's definitely the kind of music they should have been putting out. But I do think it's interesting. I went on this roller coaster of, oh, this is actually not bad. Well, I could do without that. Oh, but this next section is cool. And that's just noise, isn't it? Oh, but I like where this is going. And it really was a series of ups and downs. And that's always a fun little roller coaster to go on. Even if in the end I'm only kind of 50-50 on it, it's better than just being purely unengaged or just 100% you know what everything's doing and you're happy with that. I mean, there's certainly a time and place for very comfortable music, but something like this that keeps me on my toes that I'm not sure if I'm going to like or not, that's a fun experience. Now, we've kind of gone over each of the individual aspects. I don't think I need to bring those up too much on their own again, but I do want to focus on some larger ideas that they put in play on this. One is a general eeriness, and I do want to push more towards the word on creepy. I think there is a general nervousness to the song, as if the atmosphere is actively working against and maybe even stalking the listener. Sure, we can go with eerie there, but I also think there's just as much of a component in here that goes towards creepy or unsettling. It isn't just that you're in a place that you feel is oppressive on you, but one that actively feels like it is perverse in some way, that it may find joy in your agony or your stress. That's the creepy element to it. And I think a lot of this comes down to the vocals at times, which, yes, absolutely, that whispered vocal style, spot on, that, as the kids say, gave me the ick. But I think it's also in the guitar textures in some of these places too. Half of this song goes towards large, distorted, compressed guitar tones that have a lot of punch and impact to them. But the other half of the song has thinness to the guitars, almost chirpiness, but not high pitched notes necessarily. Just a focus on the treble part of the EQ for these guitars. It's long, held out tones with bends to them. It's deliberately creating a feeling of suspension rather than stability. And I think this is the defining element in these sections that really create this feeling of unambiguous negativity. Something that definitely feels like it does not have your best interest at heart. And I think it's interesting that it's a subtle shift too. It's not a drastic guitar tone different. We're not talking about a metal guitar versus an acoustic guitar or something like that. It's still a distorted electric guitar. It's just distorted in different ways. It also comes down to little changes in the composition. Rather than big, punchy, impactful accent notes, we have long, drawn out notes. It's a stark difference from where we were. It's these changes that have the atmosphere of the song fluctuating, always a bit on a more aggressive side, but sometimes being more overt and sometimes being a bit more hidden. And I think that's a phenomenal thing that they can do on this track, is to make it all feel as cohesive despite the massive atmosphere swings on it. There's also a general push towards noisiness and dissonance in here, but it's not consistent. It is, once again, like what we were talking about, two sides of the same coin. As I mentioned, most of the parts in this track that worked for me were a bit more traditional. Had a bass lick that pulls the song forward, some guitar notes. They gave us a rhythmic riff, if nothing else. Sometimes a little ornamental, but not really a lead melody. The vocals typically handled that. Drums, rather straightforward. Lots of expressiveness in them, though. It's kind of difficult to latch on always to the core pulse of the song, but it is in there. More traditional writing. These are often contrasted with that second section, which was just, we are going to play an accented note as a full band every once in a while. No pattern to it. We might hit the note, have silence for 1.5 beats, and then hit a note, and then have silence for 3 beats, and then hit 2 notes, and then have silence for 2.5 beats, and then hit 3 notes, and then have silence for 1 beat followed by 1 note. There probably is a pattern to it. I did not pick up on it just on a first time listen. Then we have a section that's a bit more traditionally defined in composition. This would be the eerie one. And then we go towards noise, a lack of formality to chord progression or melody and even rhythm at times, in order to emphasize noise and tension and dissonance and drone, just holding out this atmosphere. This is a song that jumps between traditional composition and texture-based composition or rhythmic-based composition. I wrote down that there's a weird mathy section and a loud noisy section, and those are sandwiched between the Deftones and Styled part and the Puddle of Mud alt rock, like very clear definitions followed by vague descriptions. And that's how this works. And I think it's a very cool way to represent this type of duality. I'm interested to see if the lyrics have any of this duality in it, but the song is frequently jumping back and forth between two extremes on a lot of different levels. And I find that it's impressive just how cohesive this ends up feeling, despite the fact that it is sort of a linear journey through a lot of different sounds. There is the metric part of this. I tried to find the time signature on the intro. I landed on 5. In that I found 10 beats before we repeated, but it was also the penultimate time we went through this, and the final time didn't line up, which could have been an extension for the final time moving into the next part, or it could be that there's always been extensions, and that was what threw me off earlier. I did notice, though, this later into the track as well. The mathy section I was never going to figure out. The creepy section kind of had a lack of rhythmic component to it, but it felt easier to get a hold of. I just didn't check into it there because I was listening to the vocals and the composition change, having the long held out notes and the focus on dissonance. The alternative rock section pushed into a 4/4 idea, but I don't remember that being consistent. I think there were some extensions there. And I did notice at the noisy section right before the melting walls finale of this track, that there were extensions in there as well. I had originally counted it as 6/8 notes, so I began to conduct in 3, and that was not always consistent. So this song kind of fits a bit into a mathcore area where it does bring a lot of post-hardcore sensibilities to the table as far as composition is concerned. But when we look at meter and time signature and general phrasing, there's a lot of mathy ideas going on in here, trying to disrupt the general rhythmic flow of the song, which it does so frequently. I don't think it would be difficult to get the time signature of this track. It would just need to be a focus of it. I would have to listen to it, maybe with a little bit of pause and play. I could probably do it in about 8 minutes to get all the time signatures down. It's not that it would be difficult. Like I said, you just need to focus on it. And on a first time listen, I'm trying to gather as much information from as many different parts of the song as possible. So I just didn't pull it out this time. But it is, to me, a strong component of this track is the unreliability of the rhythmic nature of it, that you can never lock into a groove because it's going to add a beat or add 2 beats or add 3 beats somewhere in the pulse, somewhere in the phrasing, and you're not going to be able to lock into it because when you're expecting a downbeat or an accent point, it's just not going to land there this time. A little bit ahead, a little bit behind, just a little different from where you were expecting, never quite matching what the song had made you expect for these ideas. Always undermining your ability to predict it, which I guess lines up with the antagonistic elements in the song harmonically. I think that's about it for most of the general instrumentation. We've talked about atmosphere on this too, so I think before we hit lyrics, I just want to bring up the vocals themselves. They are all over the place. We have forward-placed, aggressive, hardcore style cleans in here. We have screams with a lot of compression on them. We also have whispered vocals, and this is just right at the beginning of the song. Within like 90 seconds or so, we've heard all 3 of these distinct styles. It is a song that, much like the music, or I suppose it's a vocal performance that, much like the music, is focused on a novelty of constantly changing things up and being different from where we were. It also, though, creates a lot of fluctuation, which, much like the song, can also give us thematic information as well. This is not a song about cycles. This is not a song about familiarity or comfort. This is a song about always sweeping the rug out from under you. Even when we stick to an idea, you don't know if it's going to be exactly like it was last time. And when we do switch to a new idea, and you don't know when that's going to be. It's just going to happen at one point in the song. It's going to come with new instrumentation, new atmosphere, new vocalization. And you just have to keep being on your toes, ready for any change that's going to come at you. It's very easy, I think, to apply this to lyrical themes of things just constantly changing, of being on high alert, of being creeped out, and it's always on defense. High stress, high anxiety, fight or flight is kind of what this song feels like to me on pretty much every single level. It's kind of impressive just how deep that feeling runs in this song and how many components of the composition I can tie to that feeling. Let's hit some lyrics on this and then we're going to wrap this one up. All right, lyrically, this is a bit twisted too. We have the phrase hurt me, betray me, wind me up. And then I think we have the key that's going to unlock everything. So we have pain, and then we have this. I kind of thought we were meant to be. I really thought that you were the one for me. So that's earlier. It says hurt me, betray me, wind me up. This puts a lot of that into perspective. We had a relationship. Our narrator thought that this was it. This was going to be the one. And they don't get that anymore. The relationship is over. They feel they have been betrayed. They are now hurt and heartbroken. This is what every stanza needs to be viewed through. After this, we have the lines, hell, I'm in it. Well, I live it. I love it. Freedom, it's not given, so I'm taking. This is rapid fire. There's a lot of different ideas here. Hell, I'm in it. This is somebody who feels like they're in a lot of pain. They're being tortured. This is how they feel. He says, but I live it and I love it. Freedom is not given, so I'm taking. They basically feel like they have been wronged through all of this and for all of their pain, for all of their discomfort, for this hell that they're living in now, that they're going to take some freedom because of that. And I think this puts the first stanza that I have skipped into a bit of perspective. It says, she's so blue, been so cold. We get down, twist and burn, and I love it. This didn't really make a lot of sense to me to start with. But in the perspective of somebody who, the perspective I get on it is that they feel that their relationship has been denied to them, so they took the other person's life and are now with their corpse. They're blue and they're cold. I thought you were the one for me, and freedom isn't given, so I'm going to take it. That's my perspective on this track. There is also, and assuming that that is the correct read on it, there is an allusion to necrophilia in here as well. Actually, it's not an allusion. It's kind of stated straight up. And so kind of from a certain perspective, it reminds me of Avenged Sevenfold's Little Piece of Heaven, although taken a bit more seriously. I think there is still an overdramatic element to this, but the Avenged Sevenfold song, which is also about murdering someone who you feel they wronged you by ending a relationship and then having sex with the corpse, it's played a little bit more comedically, maybe. Part of that might be the music video that goes along with it. But I feel like that is it's a heavy topic for sure, but it makes it a little bit lighter. This one I feel stays within the creepiness of it. This is an unsettling event from someone who is probably not in a great state of mind, seeing as they murdered somebody that they loved simply for ending a relationship and then chose to engage in necrophilia. And I think that the music jumping around between so many different ideas kind of reinforces the fracturing of the mind. At least that's my take on it, trying to be as positive as I can with this without diving into the fact that it is a really creepy topic to make a song out of. But I also want to emphasize that art is for exploring the dark elements of humanity. It is one of the safest ways to explore these things. And I would never want to say that music like this shouldn't exist, even if lyrically, dude, this is not my cup of tea, which is a bit of a bummer since I did kind of enjoy a little bit of what the music was doing. All right, that's going to wrap up my thoughts on Sidewinder from Today is the Day. Let me know what you thought of this track, though. Did anything stand out to you? Is there anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on? If you have a different take on the lyrics or in the music in general, please add that. I'd love to know that I just had the wrong read on this. But I can't see any other way to take this, particularly because of the blue and cold line at the beginning. But if you have a different perspective on it, please let me know. I'm open to having a different understanding of this song. Put all of that and any other thoughts you might have down into the comments section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. All right, that wraps it up for today. I'll be back tomorrow, though, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos. Why did I do that again? All right, well, y'all know how it goes. Have a fantastic day, and roll credits.